Hey there, got a chilly morning here at Satin Hill Farm. I got a frost overnight, waiting for a little while to open everything up, but what we're gonna be working on today is collecting leaves, and I wanna talk about why that's important and why it's important to, gather materials from your property and try to build your own organic matter that you incorporate in your beds and your own fertility and all that kind of stuff. And so what we're gonna do is, I have a good amount of open space here and I haven't touched any of the leaves yet, so we're gonna try to gather as many as we can. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a big pile right here. This is right at the end of the tunnels here. There's a space here. Right now there's this tarp which we're gonna move. But we're just gonna collect as many leaves and pile them up here. I'm gonna try to create leaf mold. It takes a long time to do this, but it's one of those things you kind of just set it and then it just does its thing. And again, we're just trying to use what we have on the property to have some part of our amendments for next year. Is it gonna be completely what we need? No. But it hopefully will be a big part of it. I'll explain that in a little bit. All right, so here's the strategy. Gene brought over his mower, and you can probably tell which one is Gene's. It's the much nicer one. You guys, I keep telling you, you guys know my feelings about mowing, but this video is not sponsored by John Deere, but if anyone knows anyone at like Kubota or John Deere, I do really need a new mower. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna run around with this guy just trying to chop up the leaves just a little bit, and then Gene's gonna follow me with his mower here, and he's got the bag collector on it, and so we're gonna try to collect leaves this way. We'll see how it goes, but a lot quicker than go around with rakes and stuff. So the other thing is we wanna try to shred them up as much as possible because they'll break down a little bit quicker. So we're gonna be using the mowers to try to get that done. Well, this is what we got so far, and we got a nice layer here. We're gonna make a pretty big size pile, as much as we can collect out there. And just to show you, it's there is some grass in here, but that's okay. The grass will break down pretty quickly. It's always good to have a mixture of browns and greens in a compost pile. This is mainly gonna be a leaf compost, so the grass will break down really quickly. And probably some of you are wondering why we're not just adding all this material to our compost bins. Well, they're just not big enough. We only have 5 of them. They're actually pretty full right now. And this is gonna be like a lot of material. We're gonna try to collect as much as we can so we have this for next year. But yeah, this is great. And I think the 2 mowing situation worked out great because me running over it first really did chop it up and it allowed Gene to collect it a little bit easier in his mower. And also just having it more chopped up is gonna help it break down a little bit faster. So this is a great start. We're gonna start adding some moisture to this, and Gene brought over some vermicompost that he made, so we're going to make a slurry out of that just to sort of inoculate the leaves here and try to help everything break down a little bit quicker. All right, Gene, so we're making the slurry here, and you got some vermicompost that you made at home.
Yes.
And what do you got? Explain what you got in your hands here.
It's a 1 gallon paint strainer, compost in it, and I got it from the video that Jesse Frost and Jenny Love did about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, we'll leave that link down below.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jenny said she likes to dip it in the water 12 times and then give it a good squeeze. And then what's left, you can put it right back in your compost.
So you guys can see there's not much in there. It's just a small amount.
You a little handful for 5 gallons.
You got what, 4 gallons?
About
maybe?
4 gallons.
Okay. And so I just want to say, if you guys aren't familiar with slurries versus teas, tea is something that you would brew over like 24 hours and you'd be adding oxygen.
Oxygen.
This is just like a soak, like you would be making, I guess it's like a tea, but
yeah,
kind
of like hot water with your tea bag soaking in it.
Right. So it's not a compost tea; it's really called like a compost slurry. And so you're gonna strain it and put it in the.
I've got another 1 gallon paint strainer in here, and it's got a little plastic strainer.
Okay.
And I'll pour the 4 gallons in here, and then we'll water the leaves down a little bit, and then spray this on it, inoculate it, and just help the leaf mold break down a little bit quicker.
Sounds great. One of the main reasons that I want to start collecting leaves was, the reasons I mentioned earlier about making our own compost and building up organic matter and all that stuff, but I also just had to clean up the property. As you can see behind me here, this is our backyard lawn. I don't know, I wouldn't really call it a lawn. But as a homeowner, a lot of people stress out about collecting leaves and stuff at the end of the year and what to do with them. And in the past bunch of years, I would just have the mulching attachment on my mower and just run over it a couple times and break it up into little pieces, and it just goes back into the soil and feeds the grass or whatever's growing out here. But this way, I can take all that organic matter, which is just given to us, and break it down and then add it to the beds. When you're running a market garden, it's impossible to have a fully self-sufficient situation in terms of nutrients and organic material, because as you're bringing produce off your farm, all those nutrients are leaving the farm on a regular basis. So things have to be brought in, and I do use a lot of compost, as you guys know, but anything I can do to try to supplement it with stuff made here, I think is really cool. And so now that I brought in all that organic material, all that compost, it's anything I can do to sort of bring in less over time. Now, a lot of people criticize market gardeners for just bringing in so many inputs, but we're not going to have everything we need here. If I wanted to make my own compost, I'd have to bring in a lot of materials like food waste or manures and different carbon sources and all that stuff and make my own compost. And frankly, for me to be making money on my farm, I don't have time to do that. I don't have the capacity in terms of equipment and space and time to do that. So for me, it's more worthwhile to have someone else compost it. And I think that criticism happens a lot with market gardening. And so I think the answer isn't all or nothing, but I think it's doing what you can. And I think for me, just the low-hanging fruit was just the leaves on the ground. What I've noticed about leaves in particular, if you guys have been following along, that the compost I've been using this year to build beds is half leaf mold and half commercial compost. Well, it's commercial leaf mold as well. And so I've noticed that it's just awesome. And when you're doing deep compost mulch systems, you just want a lot of organic material. Regular compost that you get is often very high in fertility and nutrition and doesn't make good soil. So I've noticed that having leaves has just been incredible. So if this works out with all these leaves, we'll have a lot of material we can add in probably over the summer to break down and then incorporate before we do the fall planting, because as you guys know, I'm not going to be farming during the summertime. So again, kind of killing two birds with one stone, right? We're clearing out this area and generating some compost for the beds and stuff. So it's pretty cool. We're going to keep going. This whole area is done. We're going to work on the front, and we'll see how far we get today. Got a pretty nice sized pile here. I'd probably estimate it's about 2 yards, and as I was showing you before, we've been wetting it down and adding that vermicompost slurry in there as we've been layering it. And yeah, so again, I got all the front yard and most of the backyard cleaned up with leaves, and we got this pile starting to break down for next year. And what I want to say about this is that you don't have to have all of these items. And is there a better way to do this? Probably. Is there better equipment? Probably. This is what we had, and I think it's important to remember that sometimes you just got to make things work with what you have on hand. We had these mowers, Gene had some vermicompost and a sprayer, I had leaves here. It's kind of just letting Mother Nature do its thing. We're just helping it along a little bit. But I think the shredding and the moisture and the inoculation, I think all of that's going to help break it down a little bit quicker. But literally, if you just took all the leaves and piled them up, they'll break down eventually. So, if you don't have leaves on your property, I'm sure there's someone else nearby that does. Plenty of people need leaves cleaned off their lawns, or municipal facilities also have leaves you can get. So it's one of those things that leaves are extremely useful. They bring a lot of carbon, a lot of fungal life into your soil after you break it down and turn it into compost. And I think it's going to be an amazing thing for us to have going into the summer, and I'm really happy to have cleaned up, but also to get this pile started. It feels really good. So we're going to cover this with a tarp, I think, just to manage the moisture a little bit. That way, if it rains really hard or it's dry, we can take the tarp off and adjust and kind of stuff like that. But this is going to be very low maintenance. This is a long-term compost pile, and just super cool, guys. So hopefully I'm motivating you to get out there and collect some leaves or whatever else you have in your area. If you don't have leaves, there's something else you could probably make work. But we have a lot of trees here that drop leaves, so this is what we're doing. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this today. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit subscribe if you aren't already, and we'll see you in the next one.